Alright, it is 9:15. It's Tuesday, August the 31st, the last day of August, and this is the main watch list. I can't trade RGBP because it looks like their stuff is current, but I guess Charles Schwab doesn't have an updated list from, I don't know, whenever, so I can't really trade this. In theory, I would be looking at some kind of a reversal, although this thing could do another morning panic bounce play. It's not having a gap down or anything like that, but it could try to do a reversal or a morning panic. I'll just watch this. I can't trade it, so I don't have to look at it really. But I just, so I think it's just good to watch and practice. Maybe even do like a mental trade or something. See you, BB. Actually, this doesn't qualify for a morning panic bounce play. It's gonna be its third day today, whether it wants to spike or not. It's gonna be on watch again. I mean, that's what you call it here, a watch list. If it does a morning panic, I might be interested if it looks super clean, but I'd rather not. I'd rather just let this thing do whatever it wants, maybe break a new high or something like that. It might not even do that. Again, it's just going to be something to look at. I'd rather not trade this for a morning panic bounce play, but if it looks clean, I might consider it. BRBL, I think this qualifies now for a morning panic bounce play potential. It's had 1, 2, 3 green days. It is a bit far from its highs, but it does trade with a lot of range. It has a tiny float, so that's a nice potential. And PBYA too, ideally this thing wakes up and has a little more volume, and it can have a clean morning panic bounce play. I would be totally interested in trading something like that. I guess RGBP, this one having such a high market cap, is why it traded the way it did with the tsunami type panic, because it has such a high float, so many shares available. That's probably why it did something like that. So that's all I have right now. It's just ideally a morning panic bounce play with PBYA. BRBL, this one would be a bit harder. CUBV ideally can make an uptrend or maybe an inverse head and shoulder, something like that. And RGBP is going to be a wash, although this one could try to reverse or do another panic. Oh, that's nice. Alright, it is 9:44 a.m. and I did trade PBYA. At first I still traded a small position size in theory, but I mean, give or take a $450 position, but basically, I had a very small size. I wasn't trying to trade this thing, but as it kept dropping more and more and it kept looking nicer, I just started to increase my size, and then I did take a buy at 9:39. This one kind of, my entry wasn't really that nice, because when I placed my order, it looked like the level 2 price action was going to turn around. It looked like it was going to turn around. So, I placed an order and the price was around 145, and I put my limit at 15 and it got executed right at the limit. It just closed right at the limit. So I don't think I was the only one either who had that happen to. So that's totally fine. I could have in theory gotten in maybe at 145 to like 147, but it just took the very top of my limit, which is totally fine. And then holding through this candle was pretty nerve-wracking, especially because I was in at 150. And then this next candle, closed green, which is nice. And from yesterday, from my weekly recap and just me trying to get better at my selling, I kind of made this rule where I'm not going to sell, right, unless it at least makes a red candle. Okay, so if it's under VWAP, right, and it forms a red candle, there's a chance that it might top out under VWAP and it's going to downtrend. Or the only other time I would sell when it's below VWAP is if my risk would have broken. And I'm in here at 15. I probably would have risked the low of this wick, 146. So that was the idea I had. Again, this one closed break even. It didn't, close green or red, and then this one was a green. So then after this red candle was really stunk, because it was something like this. We just had a very large person on the ask with a whole bunch of shares to sell, and then the bid wasn't looking that strong. It literally brought it down from 15.6 to 15.1, and I thought, alright, well, that's an actual red candle that has formed. Maybe it's going to top under VWAP. Of course, it can still, like it's doing right here, it can still uptrend. I mean, right now it's at 154, which is still higher than where I sold. And, it could still do it. But it's just from my analysis and theory, it's just good to sell if a red candle is formed under VWAP, just because it might top out under it. They can totally, this can be the exception of the rule, and it continues the uptrend. That's totally fine. So again, I took a buy here, and then I went ahead and this thing was break even. This was a green candle. Here was the red candle. So then after that, I sold immediately. Yeah, you can see 943 flat. I sold into this candle right here. I didn't get 15.2. I got 15.15, which is between 15.1 and 15.2. That was my sell right here. It did uptrend. It got to 54. It got to 59. That was the highest. But I don't mind my sell there, just because from my experience, if it has a red candle, it's a very high chance that it's going to top, especially if it's under VWAP. Ideally, this one would have broken past VWAP at 16, and then it had a red candle at 16.5, and that would have been pretty nice, even with my entry at 15. But that didn't happen, and that's totally fine. It looks like we're downtrending some more. I don't think I would trade this anymore because it didn't bounce very nice in the first panic here. So I just made a tiny amount. Yeah, it was just it was $4. I made exactly 1%. I sold exactly at 943. CUBV is nothing that I want to be interested in unless it breaks this 32 level, which might be asking for too much. I guess I'll be looking at PBYA, but I mean, it could just hold 15 and then bounce again, but I don't know. There are some people who have a lot of shares to sell, at least right now this morning, just flashing their size on the ask. BRBL, I did miss this, but I probably wouldn't have traded it if it just wants to drop and panic in like 2 minutes like that. I probably wouldn't have been a part of that at all. I don't see anything else that I'm really interested in. I did not type that. LCLP maybe is going to do some kind of a double bottom, but I won't trade this because it was only up one day. In theory, this thing has a higher chance of it just breaking under, even though there is a lot of support on the bid. That's all I got right now. I'll keep looking at PBYA, but I would have liked it if it did a better morning panic bounce play. At least I did trade it. I didn't hesitate and miss it, even if I got executed at 15 when it was at 145. That's totally fine, and I think I still pushed myself in that sense. Alright, it is 119, and I'm gonna just make a quick update here. Yeah, so going with that first red candle setup, that new strategy I've been working on since I think Friday, when I really started to apply it, because I was not able to really do good on my selling when it came to these morning panic bounce play setups. Unfortunately, it happened here where it was the worst case scenario. A red candle formed while it was under VWAP, so there was a sign, a really good sign, although I got really close, that it was not going to get past VWAP, which was the case here. That was a bit unfortunate, but that's totally fine. That was my buy and sell there. Sure, my sell could have been better perhaps, but I would rather sell right after the red candle is formed, in case it's going to do another red candle and then be a super unprofitable trade. So I don't mind that at all. Tiny trade there. BRBL is nothing just nothing here that I want to trade. CUBV, okay, I didn't see this. It did break out this 32 level. That would have been pretty impressive. I was not there when that happened. 43 was a high. That was super profitable. I didn't go over this one and the last one because they were switching around here, but this did look like a cup and handle. I did see the curving action. Maybe in theory I would have considered it, but this one is a bit sketchy. I did think it was going to bounce back, and that's exactly what it's doing, although it had a morning spike and then it had a panic, so then it bounced back here. No way it would have held anywhere here. I probably would have been in here and then sold right here where that red candle is, right under VWAP. That's probably the most I would have done from 36 to 38. And then I don't even know if I would have traded the cup and handle here. I don't see cup and handles work very often, but this is one example where I actually did it pretty nicely. and it did continue. It did break the high, the day high, and that would have been impressive. 44 to what, 47 best case. I would have been in maybe around here, and then a red candle, so maybe I would have sold into here at 45 with an entry at 44. Just trying to guess what it would have been like, you know. I guess the inverse head and shoulders here, shoulder, head, shoulder. Again, I can't trade the stock, but that was interesting. I probably could have been in here. I don't know so much about this, but I don't mind that I missed the setup because I can't trade it on Schwab. Schwab has been a really awesome broker. I can trade these OTC stocks without commissions. That lets me trade small and really refine the process. I don't regret it at all for that reason. That's really all I have. I have other things to do. It's not like I've been sitting here the whole time. I've been doing other stuff, but I have to take care of some more orders, so I'll be off of the computer. And LCLP, it did break this level that I was looking at. It's just not that nice because it was only up one day. So at least I did push myself and trade PBYA. Unfortunately, this is one of the morning panic bounce plays where it doesn't get up past VWAP, it fails, but I think I traded it well according to my risk and the strategy I've been forming. So I can't be upset. Even if I did get a fill at 15 when it was at 145, it was a turnaround. At least I got into the trade. And yeah, I'm just gonna call it off right here. I'll make an update when the markets are closed to see what has happened since. Alright, it is 6:25 and I'm here to call it off and see what the stocks have done since I just came back and started doing a bunch of other things. So I wasn't really looking at the markets anymore. I did have one trade, which was right here with PBYA. I got in right about here, and we had a green candle. I got in here actually, and then we had a sketchy doji candle. It was a big volume candle too. Surprised I didn't downtrend, but doji candle, green candle, and then red candle. And with my strategy, or at least what I'm trying since last Friday, is to, you know, sell after a first red candle happens if it's under VWAP, because then it means it might top out. Unfortunately, it did top out here, so I wasn't really able to capitalize on this. I sold right after the red candle closed right here in this green candle. Sure, I could have sold much higher, but you know what I avoid by selling right after that red candle is closed is a potential follow-up red candle, and it just breaks my risk level, which would have been pretty bad. So again, it just didn't work out here. At least I tried, and I made a tiny $4.50, a $450 position size. It wasn't looking too nice here, but when it started dropping here, it started looking a lot better. It was a good attempt, and it did get close to VWAP at 159. I don't think that would have helped too much. Yeah, no, it would have helped, but again, I don't mind myself there. It did top out. There was a chance it didn't, you know, have to top out. Could have kept going and maybe put up a range here and then a new low to risk off of. It does continue the uptrend instead of risking what in theory would have been 146. I think at the time that was my risk level. Let's just see what's happened since with PBYA. Just continue to downtrend. It doesn't look nice. It can still be a nice morning panic bounce play tomorrow and any day after that, especially if it cracks this 14 level, because that looks like a nice level of support. Disappointing here. BRBL is just downtrending. I wouldn't have traded any of this really. It wasn't that nice looking. CUBV. This one did break this range. Again, I wasn't here for this, but that would have been nice. That would have been about it. RGBP keeps uptrending. This did the whole thing. I could have nailed the bottom here, you know, and I could have risked, I think, the wick at 366. That would have been kind of nice, as it was starting to show that it was going to turn around. And it did do that. I don't think I would have traded the cup and handle. I did see somebody trade the breakout here, you know, over this level in the chat room. I thought that was interesting. He was basically going for a red or green setup, and that did work a little. It went from this 44 level to 47, so that was kind of cool. And then it held VWAP here. I don't think I would have really traded this. Again, I can't trade this on Schwab anymore. If I were to trade on E-Trade, I can only I only have like $200 in this, like with E-Trade, because I do not use E-Trade at all. It used to be my broker for listed stocks, but I can trade on Schwab, OTC, free commissions. So no commissions, I mean not free commissions. Schwab has been a great broker, but I might consider maybe moving money somewhere else so I can be able to trade these. But I don't want to. I'm sorry if you hear somebody screaming in the background. They're playing Minecraft very enthusiastically. Anyway, you know, I don't know any other brokers that I could trade commission free with OTCs anyway. So for me to trade OTCs, or specifically this one, I would have to trade a larger size and make up for the commissions, and I don't want to do that. CUBV, yeah, down traded again. I've went over this. So just one trade. In theory, I could have traded RGBP a few times, but that's totally fine. At least I tried the morning panic bounce way with PBYA. I guess the other one, I wouldn't have never traded this because it was only up one day. Yeah, it did kind of just move around. Is there anything that was up nicely on my other screen? No, not really. Yeah, I don't really see anything else. If I'm really hungry for setups, in theory, TGGI could do some kind of breakout. Not really. There's overhead resistance here. So yeah, I'm going to call it off. One trade, it didn't work too well. Maybe I would have been much more profitable if I sold higher. But again, I think I traded really well according to my plan. And you know, it could have been one that broke past VWAP and, you know, finished at 17 or something crazy like that before it forms a red candle like last week. But you know, from here on out, I'll just keep trying that same setup. I'm very happy I still tried it though. That's all I got for today.